opportunity for Charlotte off the set piece. It is going to be the man out of Poland. The shot, yes!
And it's gone in. It's an Olympico. Yoshiki pulls it back. The shot and another goal.
And look who's coming on. Ryan Romero. Here's Romero. Hit the shot, kid.
Goal!
For the city, for the crown.
And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Offsides Podcast, the unofficial official podcast of Charlotte Football Club. I'm your host, Andres Robledo, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host with the mo-host, Pablo Robledo. Pablo, how is it hanging? Slightly to the left, I presume?
Straight down the middle.
You're a straight shooter. That's what we like to hear. Well, it's been an eventful weekend. Another home game, finally. It feels like it's been forever. But it did not go the way we wanted. Another late-minute heartbreak, which I feel like is... I feel like this season's just all heartbreak, no heartthrobs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that was not the homecoming I was expecting.
Yeah.
I don't think the players were either. I mean, it got good there for a second, and then just disappointed again.
Yep. I think we may have cursed them. You know, we wanted more ties, less losses, and now here we are.
I know.
More ties.
Season 2 of Ted Lasso.
Yeah, we're following the script. We're even on Apple TV now.
Yeah. But, let's see, any news or updates with the teams there?
Nothing too crazy on my end. I did want to give a shout out to Brian Romero and Berchimus, the two young guys on Crown Legacy. They got called up to the U17 U.S. national team, so they are training with them for I don't know how long, but I think they're there now in Florida training. So, things are looking bleak today, but tomorrow we got some superstars getting ready to come up. So the future's looking bright.
Well, good. They played yesterday, right?
Crown Legacy, they played Friday, and they are actually doing quite well. They are number one in their conference. I think they are 3-1, I believe.
Okay, shout out.
Yeah, and they've scored some bangers, which has been sweet to see. I've only been able to catch two of the matches, but the match this past Friday, David Poreba, I believe is how you say his name. Probably not, probably butchered it. But he was scoring some bangers. He had a nice free kick. It was real good. But we can talk about that towards the end for sure. I have some thoughts on that and what some people are saying around the Crown Legacy team and comparing them to the Charlotte FC team. We'll definitely touch on that.
Circle back.
Yep. Twitter circle back. But other than that, slow news week. Do you want to make up some news?
Yeah, I think Ronaldo's coming to Charlotte.
We're getting Ronaldo and Messi and Ronaldinho's coming out of retirement. Front three is gonna go crazy.
But we need a left back.
Yeah, that's what Ronaldo's gonna play.
No, that's gonna be Roberto Carlos.
Oh, imagine just somehow get him back to be a 25-year-old.
They would all enter in the same game.
One can dream, But let's jump into the match. So we played Colorado Rapids, and there was a lot of interesting stuff going into this game. Beforehand, during the game, at the end of the game, after the game. This was a dramatic one. A lot of people thought Andre Shinyashiki was going to be involved since it's his former club, throwing out the little bit of the revenge narrative. And he was nowhere to be seen. Got dropped from the bench. Same with Nuno Santos. That was kind of surprising.
That's your boy.
I know. That's my guy. We hung out in Target once. Not a big deal. But I mean, those are some. The Shinyashiki one isn't too surprising. I mean, I guess it is a little that he was dropped to the bench, right? He's been such a key player. He can have big moments. But to see both of them not even included, that's kind of weird and odd. We saw, I think, Andrew Privet and Brandon Cambridge from the Crown Legacy team get pulled up. Neither of them saw the field, unfortunately, but some interesting team choices by Latanzio for sure. Do you want to run us through the starting lineup real quick?
Yeah, I can. So, in goalkeeper, we started with Marks, which I think he's been doing fine. I've seen and I heard a lot of criticism about him from this past game, which I tend not to focus on too much, mainly because, yes, he let 2 get in, and one of them was, I'd say, 80% his fault, if not all of it. But he also saved a lot of shots that our defense and midfield were letting these players get through, which we'll probably just touch on later. But on left back, we had Awful, was it?
Mora.
Mora, that's right, Mora, which I thought he did exceptionally well. I think he's probably a real good fit for that side. Again, it's just unfortunate how our formation and midfield is letting all these plays through where he gets one bad move or one out of place positioning can just overshadow everything good that you've done for the game. Then we had Tulioma and Milanda in the center, and then Awful in the right back position. Then we had, who else was it? Jones and Bronico as the center defensive mids.
And Sergerski is the number 10.
Yeah, we had Vargas on the left side, Sergerski on the right side, Yazviak also on the right, and then Competti. Am I missing anybody?
Nope, you got them all.
I think that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So the interesting things there is, Jalen Lindsay gets dropped. Mora comes back into the team. As you mentioned, Santos got dropped. Bender got dropped from the starting lineup to make room for Bronico and Sergerski. Jones comes back in the starting lineup. And then our front three has been pretty consistent over the last couple games of Yazwiak, Copetti, and Vargas.
Right.
And, good games by 2 of those guys. We'll definitely touch on that. But, on paper, it looked like a decent starting lineup. Do you agree with that, or?
No, I thought it was a good lineup. I was still iffy on the Yazviak just because of past performances. Besides that, I think really the main thing that gets me is the formation.
Mm-hmm.
But it is what it is on that one.
Yeah, no, I agree. So the match, it started pretty back and forth, I would say. First half, ended 0-0. Thought both teams had decent chances. A lot of yellow cards. That was going to be the other thing I was going to mention. We saw the referee from when we were in Atlanta last year. I was a little bit worried about that going into the game because he was just super inconsistent, it felt like at the time. But I guess it's kind of been the story for all of these MLS refs.
Yeah, I thought it was. Right now it seems just like the normal.
Yeah, but I thought he, gave a lot of stuff our way and gave Colorado a lot of yellow cards. So I was like, well, at least it went our way this time. I guess he favors home teams.
Yeah, that's one thing. I noticed that it was that ref that he seemed to kind of favor Atlanta when we played him last time. So I was a bit worried. But no, it was pretty 50-50.
Yeah. But yeah, again, first half, didn't feel like it was too much in it. Kind of felt like same old story of just, at least for the Charlotte side, of just struggling to make, clear chances, forcing a lot of stuff to the outside, and just crossing it in, hoping to, find someone. So a lot of the same old. I will say I thought Vargas had a good first half. He kept consistently beating his defender. He had that nice little cut turn, the Cruyff there. He just was overhitting everything.
He took a little while to dial that shot in.
Yeah,
and he was missing pretty bad.
60 yards wide.
And you can't even blame the wind on that one.
Yeah. And then the other guy, as you mentioned, I thought Mora played really well on that left back side, shutting down a lot of stuff. And
they went
Jones.
his way a lot.
Yeah, yeah. And then I thought Jones also did exceptionally well.
Yeah, Jones fought very hard in that center.
Yeah, he won a lot of balls and also was just like not turning the ball over in the middle of the field. Like he was going to shield it and find someone, whether it be like a center back or an outside back, or he was just going to get fouled. But like very rarely, if ever, did he turn the ball over himself. So nice to see some stability in that midfield. Any other thoughts on the first half?
First half was pretty bleak, I would say. It just seems like the players weren't really clicking. A lot of the same stuff we saw on this last away game, where we just mentioned they're trying to force it on the outside and it's not working, and we keep losing the ball. And then did we get scored in that first half?
Second half.
Second half? Okay. Oh, yeah, the first half we went 0-0. I would say the first half of this game was probably more for the Charlotte side, but I think just for the Charlotte side, uneventful. Just trying to get things going, and it just seemed like they kept hitting this brick wall and didn't want to do anything to change it. So for a while, I thought the game might end 0-0.
Yeah. Yeah, I was a little bit worried about that.
Yeah, besides that, I didn't really, Marks had some good saves. I think we might have had one or two shots on goal. I can't even recall. Like, that's how uneventful it was. But besides that, and I think the other team had one injury pretty early on. So we had a lot of extra minutes on both halves.
Yeah, 7 minutes is crazy.
Right. Yeah.
Oh yeah, but first half, we saw the majority of the ball. 9 shots with 0 on target, so that's not going to get it done.
Right. Yeah.
Second half though, very eventful. Didn't start off the way we would have liked. Pretty early on, Colorado catches us on the counter. Nice little like simple play for them to down the wing, cross it in the middle. Guy's totally unmarked and just taps it in. I mean, there's nothing Marks can do to stop that ball. And again, like you said, like this really comes down to that formation. Like when you play with only 3 midfielders and only 1 defensive midfielder, and you have your fullbacks pushing up so far up the field, like when you go back and watch, like Awful is in that attacking third in the middle of the field, Morris pushing way up, like we push way up the field, kind of similar to like what Philadelphia does. But teams just know how to counter us. Like they find those gaps pretty easily right now. And it again just gives up an easy goal. But I will say, I believe that goal was in the, tracking it back on the highlights now, 53rd, 54th minute. It did not take long for the team to fire back. What did you think of their response?
I liked the response. They came back with a vengeance. Vargas came back, and it looked like a slow ball going in. I'm surprised it went in, but it was a good shot. Was it outside the box?
Yeah, or like right at the line.
Right at the line? Yeah, but a nice little corner. I mean, curler in there towards that to the corner of the goal. So that was a nice shot. And then shortly after, we had the Yazviak goal, that nice little header, which, like, I think in the first half or maybe the second half, he had missed that one header. Seems like his vertical's not all the way there.
Yeah. It was probably also, it was a little high from Vargas, to be fair. He was still all jacked up, overhitting everything.
He had that one spin move in that first half where he got away from the defender and everybody was cheering him on, and he just sends it way over.
Yeah.
Jeez.
It like landed at the other corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then just 2-3 minutes later, again, Vargas finds Swiderski, was a big first touch to the byline, crosses a Yazwiak, nice little tap in header, take the lead 2-1. And this was great to see because, like, I feel like this never really happened last season at all. It was
Right.
like once we gave up a goal, it was like really hard to get the tying goal, let alone the go-ahead goal. And here we are, like, especially after a terrible performance like we had at Real Salt Lake, and for them to go down a goal like early in the second half. I mean, we talked about it before the first one happened. We were there at the game, and we were like, things are not looking good. Like, the energy in the stadium was flat. It was quiet. Like,
Yeah.
things looked bleak. And then just things totally flipped like super quickly with those 2 goals. So nice to see the team like fight from being down, especially at home, and get the lead.
Yeah, I think Colorado scored in like 55th or 56th minute, and within 5 minutes, we were back on the attack. I want to say it was like Swiderski and Capetti were making a run for it. Ball got away with it, but Vargas was there to clean it up. If you look at the replay, it looked like it was just a one-time shot there. Just nice, powerful, low driven. Let me see. Oh, it was Awful and Swiderski. But yeah, nice, powerful, low driven shot. And then he does his Power Ranger moves to celebrate, which was cool. That worries me a little bit.
I know. I always get worried when guys
get
flip.
injured.
Yep.
Yeah, we've seen him get injured from the flips and then the knee slides too.
Yeah.
But, no, yeah, and then, not too long after that, we have the cross and the header, which makes me kind of question my whole, should we stop trying this whole crossing thing? I mean, out of the 90 minutes we played, it worked once.
Not only that, but like out of the whole season, it's worked twice.
Yeah, we had the Capetti one, and then this one, and I can't remember if Yazviak's first goal was. It was from.
Oh yeah, it kind of was from a cross.
Like just right outside the box, but it was a low driven cross. So
they've been a little different though. Like the Capetti one, yeah, it's kind of like what we've been seeing all season. But these last two, the 2 Yazwiak goals, they've definitely been more of like catching the team like on the break, and like we have the numbers advantage in the box, or at least it's like fair in the box, right? Like Yazwiak only had one guy on him. I think both times that he scored, he only had like one guy marking him inside the box, where usually when we're crossing it to Capetti, he's got like both center backs on him, and it's just like, all right, that's just never gonna like get to him.
And I know the highlight is all on Yazviak with the header, which was a nice, just way to be their header. But the cross too from Swiderski was real nice. I mean, that ball was one roll away from being outside the line, and he just sent it to the right spot.
With the right amount of pace.
Yeah. It was a nice little floater, just out of the reach for the defender. So it was a good goal. Good on Yazviak. I like that he's producing finally.
Yeah.
So I guess he can stay on.
Yeah. And then the other 2 guys I wanted to like highlight too, that they're probably not going to get shown up on the stat sheet, but for me, like after that first goal that Colorado had, the 2 guys that really shifted the momentum, especially leading up to the first goal, were Jones and Awful. I felt like those 2 connected really well to move the ball from like midfield into that attacking third, and then Awful in particular was really well with connecting with Swiderski, connecting with Capetti, Yazwiak. Like he was really playing that kind of like playmaker role into finding people and just like moving that ball down the field. So it's not going to get shown on the score sheet, but those guys I thought really kind of carried the team those like 10-15 minutes after getting scored on.
It was a lot of Colorado kind of trying to bounce back, but those 2 held down that center mid and kept putting the pressure on Colorado. So it's like part of the cogs that aren't mentioned in the machine, like the less important ones. But still, like without them, you wouldn't have the scoreline we have.
Yeah. And then I think, the big talking point is shortly after getting both goals, I think they play with the same formation for probably another 5-6 minutes. And then unfortunately, Mora picks up an injury, and we see some big changes happen because of that. And I think it's around like the 70th minute or maybe right before the 70th minute, but pretty what I would call still early in the game. I'm sure you probably agree with that, to where Latanzio decides to, obviously he has to take Mora off. The dude's hurt, and gets replaced with Byrne. And then we also decide to take Swiderski off and put Lindsay on. We move Awful to the left back position to replace Mora, and Byrne slides in between Malanda and Tulioma to play a third center back, and Lindsay also plays back. And so the team decides to move to a back five. Bronico also moves back to play defensive mid with Jones, and then we just have a big hole in the middle where the front three are still staying up high. And to me, and I think he had similar thoughts, and a lot of people online had similar thoughts.
Oh, yeah.
It was like, it's too early in the game to just
Park
give
the bus.
Colorado, to park the bus, exactly, and just give Colorado the ball and say, you have to break us down. And it's like, and it's kind of what we talked about with Real Salt Lake last week, where if you give a team, 20 minutes and all these chances, like, it's just a numbers game before one falls their way. Right. And that's exactly what happened. We let Colorado continually attack us over and over again. And at the 90th minute, they were able to, find a gap in the defensive back line, play a big switch. And, Marks definitely makes an error. I'm not trying to say it wasn't Marks' fault. He definitely comes out way too early and tries to grab the ball instead of punching it out, and causes that tying up goal. But the one thing I did want to mention is, even before that, not only did we take Swiderski out, we then take Vargas and Yazwiak out. We throw Bender and Gaines on. And it's just like, great. Well, I think those two guys were definitely put on for, like, just being able to run up and down and, like, put pressure, more so than, like, trying to get a third goal. And then it was like, once Colorado tied it, it was like, we have very little attacking power to go out and try to find a late winning goal, especially because, Colorado tied it up in the 90th minute. But, what were your thoughts on it?
On the subs, or... Well,
yeah, just how the last 20 minutes played out, essentially.
Yeah, so, like you said, Mora got hurt, and you got to make a sub. I understand that, but I don't think he should have changed the formation. Like, at that moment in time, we get scored on in the first half, 56 minutes, and then we come back strong and we put two on them, like, back to back, within 5-10 minutes. I don't know why you're going to change formations to a defensive formation of anything at all. Like, now the guys are clicking. Now you're having more attack scenarios created. Why not go for a third goal? It makes more sense to go for a third goal instead of just trying to kill the clock.
Yeah. And
if anything, like, he should have changed it back after all the shots that Colorado started having right after we did that formation change.
Yeah.
Like, anybody that has somewhat an idea of soccer and formations knew what Charlotte was doing.
Yeah.
And it was just uncalled for, honestly. Like, that we gave him way too many opportunities. We should have had a backup plan for Mora. But that's the thing, like, we don't have, like, that's our second left back. Hopefully he's not out for too long. I haven't seen the replays on how that injury went, and I'm not sure of the status updates on, like, if he's going to be able to play next game.
Yeah.
But, we need another left back.
I was going to say, like, I think technically he's, like, the only left back.
Right.
Because Awful is really a right back. Lindsay's a right back. Burns a right back.
Yeah.
And the thing is like, I feel like we have, the number one draft pick that we got this year, Diop, he's been playing really well for Crown Legacy the couple matches I watched. And I feel like he could come up to, like, play that position, or at least like come off the bench and play it, replace Awful or Lindsay, whoever gets shifted out there, or if Mora's healthy and can play, 60 minutes and then switch him up and start getting him that game time experience. But one thing I wanted to just circle back to also, we were talking about how the momentum was like going in our way. The offense felt like it was starting to click and drive through the middle a bit more again with like Jones and Awful driving the ball and connecting with the front three. It also led to Bronico almost having a goal. He, shot it right at the keeper, but he was wide open at the top of the box. Like, so the potential was definitely there to go get a third. Like it was, totally possible. And to just kill all that momentum, to go to a back five and, take off your best attackers. Like surprisingly enough, Yazwiak and Vargas are tied top scorers with 2 apiece and top assists. I think they also have 2 apiece. So it's like you're taking off your most
producers.
in-form weapons. Yeah. And it's like, well, now when we need a goal, we don't have them on the field.
It totally doesn't make sense to me. It's, you switch. Not only do you take off the guys that are scoring for you and making plays, but you switch Awful from the right side to the left side. Now he's got to figure out, he's playing with Bronico and Vargas and essentially Bender towards the end, where like before he was building chemistry with Soderski and Jones. So like now he's got to look for Bronico instead of Jones, and it kind of switches up the play a bit. I feel like Byrne could have probably went on that left side.
Yeah.
I don't think he should have put Awful on that left side, although he's good at it yet. But at the same time, the dude's been playing like
every minute of every game.
And like
37.
halfway. Yeah, he's getting up there in age, and that's kind of what I was getting at. It's like maybe around the 60th or 70th minute, especially after we scored that second one, he gets beat on a couple of runs that Colorado has. So it's like Awful should have came out, but we need another backup left back. And if this youngster that you're saying has been playing for Legacy needs to step up and play with where we're at on the tables and the results that we're getting, I say put him in, and we might have some hidden talent. Like he might just be the weapon we need.
Yeah, I agree. And the other thing too is, I went back to the Orlando game where we were leading 2-0, and we were leading 2-0 by the end of that first half. And Orlando are able to find one back early in the second half. So you're kind of in a similar scenario, right? You're holding a 2-1 lead with, a lot of time on the clock. But he never really goes to a back five in that game, just rewatching the highlights and stuff. He kind of keeps that same formation and lets the back line and midfield just defend the way they normally do. And it's just so confusing and hard to understand of like, why is one game you're doing this and one game you're not? Like, it's got to be difficult for the players. And two, the second thing as well is like, when you're at home, like you have to play for that win, but I feel like you like big teams don't do it by parking the bus, like
no.
They try to go get that third and seal it that way.
Yeah.
If it's the last 5 minutes, maybe they all do kind of sit back and just hang on to the lead.
But not
like
in the middle of the 70th.
Yeah, like 20 minutes. I feel like that's just too much time.
Not after you go on a 2-goal streak within 10 minutes of each other.
Yeah.
Like we had just sat down after celebrating the first goal, only to stand back up and celebrate a second.
Yeah.
Nobody saw that. The guys in front of us that went to go get concessions, they were gone 15, 20 minutes at the most, and they missed 3 goals.
Yep. Yeah.
Colorado and then us too. So, there was momentum there. Goals were starting to appear, and then it just doesn't make sense. Like you said, big teams don't do it. You got to go for that third goal. And if you get that third goal, then go ahead and load up on the defense.
Yeah.
But don't kill the momentum. Don't kill the attackers. And don't take out the key players that are doing it for you.
Yeah, totally agree.
What kind of message does that send to them? I'd be pissed if I was, told to come off after just scoring back-to-back games.
One, it's also too. It feels like it sends a big message to your like starting back four that like you just don't have the confidence in them to close the game out. And it's like, well, I got to put more defenders on there. It's just crazy. I mean, not as only takes the 2 goal scorers out, takes Radersky, who set up the second goal. Like,
Right.
it is just wild. And the other thing too, it's like you have these like weapons on the bench who have gotten a little bit of playing time, but have been doing well in Mello, Cambridge. Bender did get playing time, but he got played like totally out of position.
Out of position and with not enough time.
Yeah. And it's just like odd choices. Like if you wanted to put Bender on for like Bronico or something,
That makes sense.
yeah, I think that makes sense just because like, when Bronico suspended, Bender filled in and set a goal up, scored a goal. So it's like, yeah, make that sub to try to go for that third goal.
And
so,
if anything, Bronico, out of all the subs that came out early, Bronico was probably one of the least impactful of those guys. Like,
yeah.
Yazviak, Vargas, we said this, they scored goals and they get subbed out, but it's like, what has Bronico done? Nothing that I can recall off the top of my head or just going over the game. He wasn't that impactful. Where I feel like Bender, if he goes in that position, he's fresh. He's got at least 20, 25 minutes to play, and he can make something happen.
Yeah, agree. So just super odd, and just again, like, it's got to be extremely frustrating as like a player with just these inconsistent decisions. And I know as a fan, it's frustrating to see like,
yeah, everybody booed him, and even though they didn't lose, like
it felt like a loss.
Yeah, that was a total loss, and we talked about it on the way out. It was more of a coaching loss really than the players. It was just no faith in the system that you initially set up. That loss was totally on the coaching staff.
Yeah, and I see a lot of people trying to blame it on Marks. I think that's like a very, and I think that's just like a very like surface level like analysis of it. Like, yeah, he made the mistake and they got the tying goal. Like the tying goal is definitely his fault, but I don't think we ever should have just only had a 1-goal lead. Like I think if you don't make any subs for another 5 to 10 minutes, I think we get that third goal. Because those guys were really starting to click. Like the front three plus Jones and Awful were really starting to like click together and get chances. Like we said,
find
like
each other and make plays.
And it was just a shame that like they didn't get some more time to like do it, because I think they could have definitely found that third one.
If you go back and look at the highlights, on that tying up goal with that Vargas shot, it's Awful and Swiderski making a 1-2 play, and that ball just kind of deflects off a Colorado defender, and Vargas is there to clean it up. But like, that's the type of stuff that's the type of chemistry players are developing throughout the game and throughout the same formation. Like where to expect your guys, how they're gonna make a run, but you keep changing it up, and it's just gonna make it harder on them.
Yeah.
Because it's like 1 week you're playing with Awful out there in this on the right side, and then the next week you're playing behind Capetti and Awful's on the left. You're looking for him. It's too. I think I don't want to say it's late in the season because we still got some games to play, but now is when you need to start like forming that like the stability part of it.
Yeah, and not only that,
the
people like
is what I'm looking.
Yeah, it would be nice to see some more consistency in the team, but also too like just I feel like Latanzi totally like misread the game, because like the only real chance Colorado had was like a long range effort that Marks had a really good save on, but other than that, like again, like the momentum was like going our way. I feel like we had real good control of the ball, constantly moving into their midfield and they're attacking third, and the like energy from the Colorado players seemed a lot more like down and a bit defeated. Like they just gave up a lead very quickly, similar to how we did Salt Lake, and you could kind of see it in the body language of the players. And then for us to just, with 20 minutes left, like, just say, okay, you can have the ball and try to beat us. It's like, dude, you're like playing into they have nothing to lose at that point. So like they might as well just like go all out on the attack, and you're just going to sit back and take it. And again, it's just like, man, a pro team with like that much time left, like they're eventually going to find one. And it was
absolutely
the same thing at Salt Lake, right? Like we said at the end of that first half, we can't keep giving Salt Lake all these chances. Like it's just only by a miracle they haven't found one. And then all of a sudden, boom, boom, boom. It's, 3 fast goals.
Back. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
yeah,
it was a bummer of a game. Any final thoughts on it?
Well, I was just going to say, I still kind of stand at this point with letting Latanzio finish out this season and seeing how the next season goes. But it's at the same time, it's like you got to. I haven't seen any interviews that he has done so far this week, but I feel like as a coach and what he did, like he should definitely own up for this loss, because it was just bad. It wasn't a loss; it was a tie, but it totally feels like a loss. Yeah,
it does, and I think a lot of people are wanting like Latanzio out, and I don't know if that's just because of like
Latanzio out, and I'm seeing a lot of like comments to like, with Kalina starting to get some minutes in with Legacy. They're like, put Kalina back in. But, another thing that you mentioned when we left the game was like, yeah, Mark's made that mistake, but Kalina has made similar mistakes.
Yeah.
At least twice that I can recall from last season.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Everyone sees him as like the goalkeeper hero.
And I think like for my breakdown of Marks and Kalina, I think Marks is the better shot stopper. Just straight up. I think he's more consistent on the shots he saves. Like there's been a couple of like near post saves that he has saved where I was like super surprised he got to, and just felt like, oh, those are ones that like have been scored on us before, like that Kalina would have trouble with. The only thing that I give to Kalina, and although I think Marks is improving, because I think we saw it once in the first half of Colorado, is his distribution, his long ball from his box. I think needs to get a little bit better compared to Kalina. And one thing that a lot of people are mentioning is Kalina is a lot more vocal, especially to his back line. That can definitely help, but it's hard to quantify like how much that would help with these defenders that we have right now. Just because you don't know how it's gonna, the system's a little bit different towards the end of the season. It's Tuluma's new, Awful is getting kind of moved around, so it's kind of hard to see like how much of an influence he could actually have. But I do think, for my money, I think Marks is a bit more talented and a better shot stopper.
I agree. Yeah, he's stopped a lot of real close ones where he's had less than a second to react, especially on those corner pieces where, last season we got scored on a lot from corner pieces. So I think Marks is good for that. I agree with you on the part where the long ball distribution needs to improve some, but that'll come with time. And that second goal, I still just kind of blame on, Marks, but it's like just inexperience. He just got drafted 2 years ago.
Last season,
barely got any playing time. Now he's getting playing times, and he's making a lot of saves. So
he is.
I would stick with Marks.
Yeah.
But, if I was to put my money on it, I'm sure Kalina's gonna get that spot over Marks as soon as he's 100%.
Yeah. And also, the mistake Marks made, I've seen every top-level goalkeeper make a boneheaded move like that. So it's not like it's a sign of, him being bad or anything. It's like, dude, every goalkeeper's done something silly like that. So it doesn't take a hard Google search to find a highlight clip of, some of the best goalkeepers in the world making mistakes like that.
Yeah. I was happy with, the amount of shots that we were kind of getting. We had, I think, a total, the stats say 17 total shots. But five of them were blocked and 3 of them were on target, so it's not too bad. As far as like set pieces or corner kicks, it was pretty low for this game, but still, that's another thing. It's like, you're not taking advantage of these set pieces, and it's like, when are we gonna see a corner kick goal?
Yeah, seriously, or even another free kick goal.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. That's the thing. That's another thing that's kind of hurting us.
Yeah. Any final thoughts or anything, or is that kind of wrapping it up on the match for you?
I think that's about it.
Oh, sweet.
That's about it.
So we did have one Twitter shout out, AJ at Speedy Terrepin. His thoughts on the
Shout
match.
AJ.
His thoughts were, need improvement from the back line. Totally agree.
Yes.
Coach needs to do better with the subs. Agree. That's kind of been an issue almost every game, it feels like. Probably change the formation for the squad. I think that one, that's probably does need to happen, but I don't think we'll see it happen. I think Latanzia really wants to play this 4-3-3 the way he wants to do it.
Yeah.
And then, however, our wings are great. Agree with that 100%. I think last year, that was a big thing we talked about this season is we need production from our wingers. We're starting to finally see it. Hopefully they can stay out there for more than, 60, 70 minutes.
Yep.
So, yeah. Big season so far for Vargas and Yazwiak. 2 goals and I think 2 assists apiece. So I think big improvement from last year. But, yeah, shout out AJ.
Shout out. But I was going to say, I think we found our wingers. They seem to be producing consistent. Not as much as we would like, but it's been a struggle this season just to get goals, and it's been coming mainly from our wingers.
Yeah.
I still just ponder as to where Soderski fits into that formation. I don't know. Behind Capetti, that's one thing. And another thing that we're kind of talking about is Capetti's only had, 2 goals so far.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, not that they weren't great goals, but they weren't great goals. The header was actually pretty good. The other one was okay.
The other one, it was more like Lindsay's pass was great. Like the assist was better than the goal.
Yeah. But I don't know if I don't know. As far as like his performance so far this season, I was expecting a lot more, and we haven't been seeing it. And I don't know if it's just because of who he has around him, or I don't know what else it would be. He's got the talent. It's just how he gets the ball or who distributes the ball.
I think that's like his biggest issue is, one, I kind of think his like attitude and antics kind of stink. Like he flops a lot and just stays down longer than he should. But I think the other thing too is like we're not really playing to his strengths. He likes the ball to be played in front of him and for him to chase it down and just beat the guy in like a foot race. And that was something I really noticed in this game was how many times he was like asking for a ball over the top or for a through ball and like starting an early run and like not getting it and having to like check back in and just doing that like over and over again. And I just think like the way we play is just a bit too slow for his style. Like we just build up the ball, like our attack so slowly and like methodically through the back line, then up a wing. And it's just like never that, through ball through the over the top or like through the center for him to chase down. And, a lot of the times he does get the ball, it's like right at his feet. And man, his first touch kind of sucks. Like it just always seems to bounce off of him or like just, I don't know.
Not only that, but it's like when he gets that ball, he's not pushing off the defender to like make room or create space, or he's not making like a fake cut or run to create that space that when you get the ball you have something to work with. It's like the defender's right on him when he gets that ball, and that's where I think like his first touch is just not that. It's not helping him out at all.
Yeah.
I think like what you said earlier, he's more relying on that quick counterattack where like when we get the ball, It's more like okay, all right, slow it down, pass it around, and he's like, no, like I'm running, send it.
Yeah, I'm up here.
That's just not how we play.
Yeah. Yeah. It's something that's gonna have to get figured out for sure.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I mean, something's gonna have to change either way. The way we distribute the ball to him, or he's just gonna have to adapt to our game.
Yeah. One thing I did want to just touch on again, and we talked about this, I think maybe after the Atlanta game or something, with all the Latanzio out talk. I'm telling you guys, like, firing him right now is going to cause way more problems than solutions.
Yeah.
Last season it was totally different. The reason they let Mark go in the middle of the season, Mar was not committed to the team at all, really. And we had an assistant coach with a lot of experience being in the league and in coaching. And yes, he wasn't a head coach, but he had been an assistant coach for a while. And we did see a big shift when Latanzio took over and the team started performing better. But also you got to think, like, he was playing pretty much pressure free, right? Because if he did bad, it didn't really matter because there was no expectations for him. It was up in the air whether he was going to get the job or not the entire season. So it's not like he was really like counting on this, like, to be a full-time gig or anything. And again, like, he has a lot of experience being a coach, maybe not a head coach, but like just being around the players and matches and stuff. This go around, I think Fuchs is an assistant. I don't know who the other assistants are, but I don't know how much experience they have, but they're kind of like Latanzio's guys, right? Like, Latanzio wasn't really Mar's guy. I think the front office brought him in to be the assistant. So I think the coaching staff this time is more like Latanzio's guys. So, if he's out, we could see all those guys go out. Fuchs is very inexperienced in coaching. This is his first year coaching. And I think you're going to have a hard time bringing in a head coach to try to turn the season around. Like, we're almost a third of the way through, bottom of the table, a thin squad when you kind of look at it, especially in that back line.
In the middle.
Yeah. So it's almost like, why would you risk your reputation as a coach going to a smaller market like Charlotte, still a brand new team, again, like middle of the season, it's not who the squad you wanted.
Yeah.
It's just a lot more,
less than 2 seasons.
Yeah, it's just a lot more risk than it would be upside. Because even if you take over and you get them to the playoffs and they lose in the first round, or they finish one spot off the playoffs, that's not really, breaking headline news or anything like that. I don't think that really progresses a coach's job. And, I hate to say it, I think a lot of people are going to hate to hear this, but Charlotte is definitely going to be like a stepping stone type of team for coaches and players. And that's something that it's a challenge that the team is going to have. But again, like, if you get rid of 2 coaches, like, before your half of the season is over, in 2 years, I think even next season, you're going to have a hard time bringing in another head coach.
Yeah.
Just because it's too cutthroat for such a small team in such a small market, right? If we were LAFC, I could totally see it, right? Expectations are a bit higher. Your expectations are to win the MLS Cup. Here, we're just asking for a top 9 spot. And to be so cutthroat about that is just going to be more risk and less upside for coaches.
Yeah, yeah.
So just wanted to get that message out there.
It's going to be more problematic for, come transfer season, and then just the players in general. It doesn't send a good message.
Yeah, and if we could go into that too, like the transfer markets, you're always going to have a mix of players, right? Because the guys Latanzio has recently brought in are for his system. If you bring in a new coach who wants to play a different system, he's going to bring in new players. So you're going to have like these mix of guys who can play a certain way and guys who can. He's going to try to make it work, and I just think it'd be more hassle than anything. Yeah. I think as much as people don't want to hear it, I think we gotta stick with Latanzio until playoffs are mathematically impossible. Whenever that happens, if the front office wants to let him go and build for next season, I don't have a problem with that, right? If there's nothing really to play for, then sure, let him go and start figuring it out.
A couple more games like this, and it's going to be like that. And right now we got 6 points, and everyone's at least 10, at least in the top 9. The Toronto, they're on the 9th spot, and they got 9 points. And New England sitting comfortably. Well, New England and Cincinnati sitting comfortably at 1 and 2 with 17 points. So there's a huge gap already. But I mean, all you got to do is make it in the top 9.
Yeah,
But
and
it's going
we're
to be that way.
we're only 3 points away, but there's some tough teams in between us and that 9th spot.
Yeah. Well, speaking of
Philadelphia, New York Red Bulls, Inter Miami.
Yeah, we got our next 4-match predictions. We got another home game coming up, April 22nd versus Columbus. Then we got the U.S. Open Cup versus Tormenta. That's April 25th. Then we got away, DC United, and then home again with New York Football Club. Our last predictions, I think we both said that they were going to win them all. We got one right. So we got some new predictions to make with these next 4 games.
All right, start us off.
Okay, so with Columbus, they're sitting
4th.
Let me see. They're sitting 4th in the Western Division.
In the East, they're in our conference.
Oh, they're in our conference? I didn't even... Oh, yeah, there they are. They got 14 points already. I'm just going to say, and this is a home game. Hopefully we turn things around. I'm going to say like a 1-0 win.
Yeah.
No, maybe 2-1. No, I'm going to stick with 1-0. 1-0 is good enough.
I don't have faith in this game. I think this is going to go as a loss. Columbus is looking pretty good. They're top 4. They've won 4. They've scored 18 goals and have only allowed in 9 compared to our 9 goals scored and 16 allowed in.
They're about to allow 10, baby.
Also, we've allowed in the second most in our conference. Only Montreal has done worse with 17. So that's not great. So yeah, I think Columbus is going to be a little bit too good.
Okay, all right.
They've got a nasty midfield.
And then we got Tormenta for the U.S. Open Cup that's a Tuesday, April 25th.
Yep.
I think we both know it's most likely going to be a win, although, looking at Charlotte last year on Open Cup and how they performed against some of those smaller teams was iffy.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say 2-0, they win.
Yeah, I'm going to say 3-0. I think this is where they get some frustration out, build some confidence. You don't put the, second stringers out there. You put the starting 11 and all right, go figure it out a little bit, and score some goals and get some confidence.
Okay. All right. Then we got DC United away. The DC United, they're not that hot this year either.
No, they're not.
11th with 8 points. They got 12 goals against them and 8 goals for them. So, it's almost similar to what we got.
Yeah. No, I think this could be another road win.
Yeah?
Yeah, what are you thinking?
Nice. I'm going to say tie. And I'm only going to say tie like a 1-1 because it's a road. I mean, if we only get wins on the road, that's going to be crazy. But
hey, we're a road team now, dude.
We're a road team.
We don't lose on the road.
I'm going to say tie because we're on the road.
I think we've only lost at home, right? And then one away game we've lost.
Yeah.
That's totally wrong. It's 2 away games we've lost and 2 home games. So yeah, we're kind of not good either on either side.
Well, we're 14th think, for a reason.
Yeah, I think they've only scored 8, so that kind of helps us, right, with the back line struggles.
Yeah,
but they've only let in 12 too.
They've only won 2 games.
Let's double us. I think this is definitely a game where we could get 3 points. DC don't feel unbeatable, and the way we've played at home has been a lot better than last season. So maybe we catch them by surprise and get a sneaky win.
Hopefully. Okay. And then lastly, we got New York Football Club May 6th, and that's a home again. I think New York is just tough overall. Right now, they're sitting in 5th.
Interesting stats by them. 9 and 9 for the goals for and against.
Yeah, they're 1 for 1. Won 3 games, tied 3, and lost 2. So it's just about 50-50, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to say a 1-0 just because it's a home game for us. And New York doesn't do well here, except last time. The Red Bulls went away with a point.
Yeah,
but I'm going to say New York City. They're probably like a little lower tier than New York Red Bulls in my eyes.
What? You're crazy. They're sitting in 5th.
I said in my eyes. I'm not right.
Red Bulls sitting in 12th.
Look, Red Bulls used to be good at one point.
When Terry Henry played.
Yeah, and Juan Pablo Angel.
True. Forgot about him.
Yeah. But
I think this is probably gonna. I think this is gonna be 1-1.
Ooh, no faith.
Another tie. Well, and they got they have the revenge narrative going because didn't we stomp them last season at home?
I feel like we stomp them every season.
There's only been one season.
That's every season.
That's true. How do I check this?
So, with that and how we're sitting on the tables right now, as far as silverware, do you think we should focus more on the Open Cup instead of the MLS?
Because
even if we make playoffs, that's a reach.
It's tough. It's tough.
I mean, Open Cup's tough too, but it feels like it's more reachable.
I would like to say, we should, but it's tough because, again, like the way MLS rules are structured and like how thin the squads are, it's tough to like kind of make that cup run and have the first team prepare for a certain team for a whole week, and then just like because that's what you would have to do, right? Like you would have to spend the whole week of practice preparing for the Open Cup match and not as much the actual MLS match. But I think you would get a lot more heat for losing or drawing those matches like we're seeing. And if you did win Open Cup matches, I don't think it would take as much heat off. You know what I'm saying? So it's almost like I would like to see them do it, but I think the casual fan base, the general fan base would lose their mind if we kind of tanked the MLS season, and I don't think they would notice the positives from the Open Cup as much, if that makes sense.
But if we won it, do you think it would just erase all that?
I don't think it would. I really don't think. Do you know who won the Open Cup last year?
Wasn't it not us?
Exactly. So I don't think it holds as much as
I don't even remember who won the MLS Cup last year.
Probably
LAFC. Okay, well, yeah. I mean, they won it every year.
But yeah, so I would like to see silverware, but I think more people would like to see like a playoff, like making playoffs. I think more people would care about that than winning the Open Cup. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, please let me know on Twitter at @offsides_CLTFC.
It was Orlando City.
Oh, that's wild.
I just Googled it.
So we'll see. I would love to hear what people think about that.
Yeah. And so with Orlando City, they won it last year, but they didn't make it too far. They were in 7th spot for the playoffs. So they just barely made the playoffs last season. But I don't know. I mean, it's still silverware.
Yeah, it is.
I think it's better than nothing.
I will say, and it's hard to compare, but like when you follow like Premier League teams and they have a similar thing, right, with the FA Cup.
The FA Cup and the Carabao Cup.
Yeah, and it's kind of this.
Cup.
as like a Chelsea fan, like I would always be more pissed if we like didn't win the league than when we won the FA Cup. Like there'd be seasons where it was like, oh, we finished third, but we won the FA Cup. I'm like, who cares? Like, win the league or win the Champions League. I think they probably care more in England.
The FA Cup has a lot of history behind it too.
Yeah, but it's not as prestigious.
It's not as prestigious, but it's still better than nothing. It's better than finishing second in the league and having no silverware to show for it. I don't know. It's bragging rights.
No, I agree with that.
Second
but see, I don't know if the
Open Cup, that's not bad.
But see, I don't know if the Open Cup, or if the Open Cup would do the same thing here. Like if we finish 14th, but we won the Open Cup, I don't know how I feel about that.
I'd be pretty happy with that.
Man, I don't know. I would love to hear people's opinions on this. If you guys are listening on YouTube or listening wherever you listen, give us your thoughts on it. Leave a comment. Add us on Twitter or on Instagram at offsides_CLTFC. Would love to get the fan base's opinion on that. Yeah.
I mean, Charlotte wins the Open Cup in their second season. I'd buy that T-shirt.
It is an interesting storyline. That is true. I didn't think of it that way. It's only second season.
2023 Open Cup winners, and then on the back.
That shirt's going to be expensive. You better watch what you say. I'd buy that shirt. That's going to be a $150 T-shirt.
And then we can have the MLS rank stand-ins on the back.
14th. Oh man, yeah. That's an interesting question though. Yeah. That's
not
that's very
that the
interesting.
Open Cup's any easier. Once you get through the smaller teams, then you still get the other MLS teams.
Yeah.
But it's less games. It's less games and
in
some teams don't prepare for both.
I was gonna say too, like
I think
MLS
Charlotte could just focus on the one.
And the other thing too is like MLS is already a league where any team really can beat anyone on any weekend. I mean, we saw that last season, beating New York FC at their home 3-1, beating Philadelphia Union 4-0. So it's like anything can happen. I mean, shoot, freaking was it Kansas? What's the new expansion team?
St. Louis.
St. Louis just beat FC Cincinnati 5-1. And FC Cincinnati are like second in the Eastern.
Yeah.
So it's like, dude, anything can happen.
Except the home win.
Yeah, except for us. That being said, St. Louis is first in the West. But still, that was like, I don't think anyone expected that.
No, except the refs and the payday.
Yeah. So, and my point being, like, in a knockout style tournament where, again, like any team can beat anyone on any weekend, maybe, that is like the more probable chance of us getting silverware would be there through that.
Yeah. I could, get it like a little mini trophy for my desk. Charlotte FC 2023.
That's also going to be expensive. You better watch it.
I'll get it on Etsy.
Yeah, but again, love to hear the fans' opinion on that. I think that's a super interesting question.
Super.
All right, I think that is gonna wrap it up. Unless you had any.
Wrap it up.
All righty. So again, home game this weekend against Columbus. Will this be the first home game win of the season? Yes. Who knows?
Anything
but anyways,
could happen.
And that's what we were just saying. All right, well, we will catch you guys. Oh wait, no. Before we sign off, if you enjoyed the episode, share it with a friend. That helps us out a ton, helps us grow. The last couple episodes have been doing really well. We're a small show, averaging 50 to 60 downloads. The last couple of weeks, we've been touching that 80 download marker, so that's been huge. Thank you guys for the for the support and the help and the growth. We're over 200 followers on Twitter now. If you want to join that, at offsides_CLTFC. We're almost to 200 on Instagram, and that's also at offsides_CLTFC. And if you want to connect with us there, please do so. Subscribe and like to the YouTube channel, and leave a 5-star review. If you write out of your review, we will shout it out. We haven't had one of those in a little while, so feel free to do so. And then that's pretty much it. Should I give out your phone number for people to call you?
Yeah, it's 8675309.
All right, we will catch you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.
Wow, wow, wow. You got to love that.